How to shift from trying to escape the present moment and have peace with now. I find my mind's been jumping to what's next, when I want to have more contentment with now. So I think this is the essence of inner work and transformation. That's why in our framework, the first part of the 3 in Feel, Heal, Manifest, the first part is feel, right? And I purposely didn't call it get present. I say feel because firstly, it's one word and it's quick and easy to remember, but also by way of feeling into what? Our breath and our body. I found it's the simplest, not always the easiest, obviously, but the simplest way to get present. And that's what you're talking about, Susan, in your question, which is how do I get present, right? Like, and stop my mind from just racing into the future. And for you, it's doing that. It's what's next. And for others, it might be in the past. And the mind is always doing this thing where it's either rehashing the past or fantasizing about the future. And therefore, when it does that, it's not or never in the present moment when it's in those moments of chasing past or future. So using the framework, feel, heal, manifest, feeling into breath and body, while it's not exciting and simple and maybe even boring, it works, right? So anytime you want to actually come back into the present moment. So those are a couple of ways, right? Like your breath and body connection, and then anything in your physicality, just to make it a bit more tangible. So the sounds around you in this moment, the temperature of the air on your skin, the sensation of your clothing on your skin, your feet on the ground. If you're sitting, then the parts of your body that are in contact with the ground. Any aspect that is now and here, this present moment. And ideally, as the more and more that you do, like more and more awareness that you bring into these aspects, the more grounded into the present moment, the more present is the essence of mindfulness. I've never actually trained in mindfulness. It's just some decades of meditation and yoga that has taught me, and also before that, as a professional martial artist, being in my body has taught me that it is one of the quickest and most effective and simplest, not always easy, but the simplest, quickest, sometimes easy way of getting present. Definitely effective. Breath and body connection. And then whatever is markers of the present moment, right? So if, you're sitting in a room and there's light, right, that you've got. So paying attention to the level of light, sounds around you, smells, the temperature, all of those things that are markers and anchors back to the present moment. Therefore, it pulls us out of traveling time in our minds, past and future, and bringing us back into the physicality, by way of physicality, right, our physical body and breath, into the present moment. So let me just read the question again, make sure I've answered it. How to shift off trying to escape the present moment and have peace with now. Okay, I'll come to that. Find my mind's jumping what's next, and I want to have more contentment with now. So contentment with the present moment, finding peace with the present moment. I'll use an example from the yoga practice. So when we think of yoga, different people have obviously different perceptions, right? If you've done the yoga practice, for example. So when you're on the mat in a posture, you may or may not be having a great time. Right? Like a lot of times when we're in the posture, we're not actually having the best time of our life. Sometimes we are, right? But a lot of times it's challenging, you're shaking, you're sweating, maybe you're falling over. You might think, oh goodness, do I look silly? I don't have balance. All of this stuff that's going on internally. And then there's like the physical aspect. It's like, shit, muscles are not strong enough, or I'm not flexible enough, or this is difficult. We're going through a journey, and all of these aspects, not just the difficult parts, but there's certainly aspects of the moment that is difficult. And it's normally the difficult part that we don't want to deal with. There's some part of us that wants to just tune out all the difficult emotions and all the difficult experience and just have this candy floss, unicorn and rainbow type reality where everything is soft and fluffy and happy, and we're just bouncing off clouds. And unfortunately, fortunately and unfortunately, physical reality, the human life does not work like that. it is rich with the whole spectrum of emotions and experiences, from what we label as good and bad, easy or not, and everything else in between. And when we ignore some part of it, therefore we make ourselves unwell over time. We create unease within ourselves, and therefore it forms as disease. And that's another topic for another. I've already talked about those kind of topics before. So resisting what is what you're asking, Susan. Like, how do I stop resisting what is? How you stop resisting what is. If what is difficult, how do I stop resisting it? How do I have peace with the now? It's making peace with the now. It's not like you get peace from somewhere else. It's resolving into it. It's surrendering, like it's in a yoga pose, right? If you're fighting the pose, it's going to just mirror that back. The mat's just like a life-size mirror. It just mirrors it back. But if you're in the pose and you choose to relax into it, even if some parts of you just don't want to let go in those moments, and you choose to surrender, and surrender is not defeat. Surrender is not weakness. Surrender is a choice. It takes strength to choose to let go. That's what I'm talking about when I say surrender. So to surrender, to let go, to resolve, to relax in the moment, right? To choose to relax in the moment when you can have that fight, right? Like internally, or sometimes that fight comes out externally, either to yourself or others. It's making peace. Like when there's conflict, how do you bring peace to it? You start with bringing the peace to the table. Normally, that's how it resolves things and dismantles the conflict, right? So that's what I would say with, like, how do you have peace with the present moment? It's making peace with the difficult aspects of what is present. So if it's emotion, sensation, certain things, situation that is difficult, it's like sitting with those difficult feelings and knowing that it will pass. Nothing is actually permanent. Everything comes and goes. So, but it does stay when we fight it, when we push against it, when we tussle with it, it tends to linger around longer. When we fight it and resist it, especially. So when you resist something and push it, it pushes back. In life, you push against someone, they'll push back. You push against life, life will push back. So if you resist, it'll only just mirror that resistance back, probably more. But so the way to have peace is to make peace. So therefore, choosing to surrender, to let go.